Okay. There's a common misconception targeted towards monster girls, and more specifically, cat girls, by, for lack of a better word, normies, involving them referring to monster girls, and more often than not cat girls, as furries. This is a false statement, as well as the statement that monster girls are not furries. Both sides of the argument are wrong. This is a complex conundrum that is neither validated or summed up by either of these statements. And that's why I'm here to inform and acknowledge what I believe to be the truth on what monster girls are. So, let's find the answer to this conundrum for science. Solely for the sake of brevity, I'm going to be referring to all the creatures that could possibly be labeled as furries, such as wolf girls, cow girls, cat girls, etc., as the generalized term that they are often referred to as, which is monster girls. And when referring to the furries, I'm going to be acknowledging what they are meant to be representative of, which is anthropomorphic animals, and not this.
What's up, bitches? I'm a man cheater. You want to do something with this?
If it was this that I was talking about, then no. Monster girls are not this. End of video. But of course that's much too easy. So I'm going to be talking about monster girls and anthropomorphic animals, and explaining, as stated in the beginning, why they are neither furries and or otherwise. Let's begin. I think it's important when disproving a hypothesis, thesis, or claim to at least acknowledge every point that is being said. And what is arguably the most commonly referred to statement that either side likes to pick apart in an effort to validate their claim is by analyzing the physicality, the anatomy of monster girls and comparing it to each other to suit their point. Anybody can disprove this, however, by simply using their eyes to look at the two subjects in question side by side. The people who say that monster girls are not furries are keen to point out the minimal animal features that monster girls tend to have, and highlighting on their human attributes, due to the fact they are half human. And the people who believe monster girls to be furries focus on those exact same details, claiming that to be enough evidence to justify labeling them as anthropomorphic animals, when as stated previously, if you just look at the two side by side, they are in no way similar, at least in terms of physicality and anatomy. Monster girls, at the very most, have minimalistic animal features that could easily be mistaken for a cosplay, and every other aspect of them is completely human because they are part human. And that's very important to note, because anthropomorphic animals are by no means human, at least in terms of physicality and anatomy, as they have full snouts, claws, and are completely covered in fur. By all means, it would seem the people who say that monster girls are not furries seem to be winning. However, it's when you start to analyze the other factors, such as mentality, that things start to get a little hazy. Soon I start to realize that, although monster girls undoubtedly look like humans wearing a cosplay, and in no way resemble anthropomorphic animals, at least in terms of physicality, when you start to analyze other factors that are important to distinguishing whether or not monster girls are furries or anthropomorphic animals, for example, mentality and behavior, monster girls undoubtedly have more animalistic tendencies and behaviors that are more true to their animal side than anthropomorphic animals, because believe it or not, most anthropomorphic animals seem to have a more human-like composure and set of behaviors, because it turns out that the meaning of anthropomorph means human-like, so it's essentially a human-like animal. And at least in the behavioral aspect, they seem to be more human-like in certain instances than monster girls. However, although they may be human-like in certain aspects, such as their behavior and even in certain physical movements like standing upright, they are still not human, whereas monster girls are. Monster girls are half human and half whatever else that they are. This is where I started to run into the dilemma of trying to figure out what exactly monster girls are, as they are not entirely human and they're also not entirely animal. Looking into this fact, I decided to then make an assumption of what monster girls could potentially be, and it would seem that this is the most likely option of what they could be, and it's that they are their own subcategory of species, their own subgroup of DNA, their own subdivision of genetic code, that is different from both human and anthropomorphic animal, but at the same time is like a crossroads between the two, and as such can either be called furry or otherwise. They house two different genetic codes, and are neither human nor animal. They are what they are often referred to as. These different lovely ladies are monster girls. And with that, if you guys enjoyed this video, then if you've watched this far, then theoretically you enjoy my videos. Feel free to give me a like, subscribe, share this with your neighbor, your high school teacher, and your wife, and I'll be back to answer another question that not even scientists can answer. Bye.